Hey, got another legend in the building today. Got another legend in the building today. DC's own Tre Kelley, Dunbar's finest, South Carolina University finest, NBA pro legend, man, joining us here on S.O.O.N Sports Podcast. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, man. We're gonna get right into it, man. For the people that don't know who you are, I mean, there's a lot of people that know you, but for those that don't know you, worldwide, can you give a little short, brief background of who you are and where you come from and different things of that nature?
Tre Kelley, Northeast Washington, D.C. native. I went to Dunbar High School. I played 4 years there. I went to the University of South Carolina. I was able to play 4 years there. And I enjoyed, what I think was an illustrious professional basketball career over 13 years. And, was able to, just enjoy myself, man, and really do something that I love. And, now I've transitioned into coaching at my alma mater. So it kind of came around full circle for me to be back at Dunbar High School.
Absolutely, man. I watched you coming up, man. I'm a couple of a couple of years in front of you. I went to HD Woodson, and the thing about it was I watched you play a couple of times, man, battling down there at HD Tower Power. Yeah. But what I wanted to talk to you about was initially, can you talk about your experience playing at Dunbar, starting out real quick, take us through your did you start in the 9th grade at Dunbar or did you go to
I started a couple of games. I didn't start the entire season. Okay. But I played minutes like I was a starter. I played a lot of minutes. Gotcha. And was just able to get that experience as a 9th grader. The city and the high was pretty thick at the time. So it was a lot of competition at pretty much every school. And it was fun, man. It was fun for me because, I came in with a chip on my shoulder, just trying to prove myself. Young 9th grader, everybody's talking about it. What is he gonna do? How's he gonna respond? Being on varsity, playing a lot of minutes, getting the opportunity out there. So, I was learning a lot. I played for Gary Lampkins those first 2 years. So I learned a lot, from him, he was a very mature coach. He had been around some time. So the stuff that he was teaching me, was some of the things that I needed at the time as a 9th grader. So I was ahead of my time mentally, and it was good for me to be around a lot of older guys that were already seniors, like Deion Walker, Mauricio Branwell, some of those guys that was on that team. They really embraced me. And I'm talking about from day one, like first couple of days, we go in there for practice and, they understand what I brought to the table. And, it was just fun, getting the love and support and respect from those guys. And that helped me just go out there and play basketball.
Absolutely. And then so moving forward, after those first 2 years, you go into your 11th and 12th grade year under a new coach, under Coach Roach.
Yeah.
How was that?
Man, that was lovely because me and Lorenzo Roach we were good friends already. He had already I had went to a couple of practices. He was coaching a youth team that went to the Virgin Islands a couple of years before. I ended up not going to the Virgin Islands, but I did go to the practices. I think I might have been playing AAU ball by the time the trip came, and I wasn't able to attend the Virgin Islands. So, for me, playing for him, he really just came in and was just like, man, I know your passion, for the school. I got the same passion. He was telling me that he had been there. He had won championships as a player. So we shared that passion for Dunbar, that love for Dunbar. We wanted the best for the school. And he just wanted me to just go out and play. It really was just a thing where it was just like, man, go out there and play basketball. I know that you play hard. I know that you go hard. I know that you're gonna work your tail off. And it was amazing because I didn't know what I was going to walk into, like coming into the ninth grade. I just wanted to, prove myself. I just wanted to play well. I wanted to work hard. I wanted to be sharp. And by the time I'm a 12th grader, everybody's talking about the history already that I was kind of implanting before I left. And I wasn't thinking of it that way. I was just going to play basketball, man. I was enjoying the ride, and I knew that I was going to go and play 4 years somewhere. I didn't know where, but I was just enjoying the ride. And then, end of my 12th grade year, I'm setting records. I'm breaking records. I'm, two-time All-Met, two-time Gatorade Player of the Year in Washington, D.C. And that was incredible, for me and my family, because that was something that we enjoyed and we embraced because, we lived in those moments and was very happy about it.
Absolutely. So speaking of you being a Gatorade Player of the Year and different things of that nature, I got a question far as when did your name hit the map far as like when Tre Kelley was like worldwide known? Was it I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, when you went to what is called ABC camp?
Yeah, so I went to ABCD camp as a ninth grader.
Okay.
And I think that next year I was top 25 in the country. I remember the magazine came out. They first started ranking LeBron #1. And I was a part of that top 25 class. And, by the time the season started at Dunbar, my 10th grade year, everybody's just talking about it. And, actually I started off that year kind of slow. I don't know if it was just the attention. I don't know if it was just, just trying to live up to everything, but that's kind of started. So I didn't start off bad, but I kind of started off slowly and, kind of picked it up like maybe 7th or 8th game. It kind of, I ended up averaging like 20 and like 6 or 7 assists my sophomore year at Dunbar. And it was, like I said, it was a challenge for me, and challenges, even back then were really fun for me. So I embraced those challenges because I was always working hard, and I didn't mind, challenges because I knew that I was going to put in work.
Absolutely. Did you have a moment with they say your breakout time prior to what you were just explaining to us was against Sebastian Telfair? Did you? I remember vividly hearing like you put up big numbers against him, and
yeah, so he was a young guy at the time. He was like 8th, 9th grade, but he was, of course, he was like the best player in his class. And what they did was they had like before you start, with the camp schedule, I think you play 6 games.
Okay.
You play like a sort of an exhibition. And I played against him in the exhibition, but the college coach was there. Everybody was there watching. And he was too small. Like, he was small. Wasn't that strong. He was quick, but I just took advantage of that. Was able to shoot over top of him. Get to my spots, kind of bump them off for layups, floaters, and stuff like that. I was getting to the line. Probably had like 22, 23 points against him. And a lot of people were talking about that at the time. But I knew, you could tell that he was going to be something special at the time. And that was like him coming right into high school. I think he hadn't even played 9th grade yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
I think that was like my 10th, 11th grade year, something like that. And that's, like that was, I had games before that where people, were really watching. And I think when I really came on the scene, man, as far as from a national standpoint, I was a 9th grader playing 17 and under. So I was like 15 playing with like James White, Rob Little, who went to Stanford, Mauricio Branwell went to Seton Hall. A couple of those guys, and they, everybody in the country were watching James White, high-flying guy, athletic, could shoot the ball, so everybody was coming to his game. I remember going on like a couple unofficial visits to colleges with him. Like, we were in LA, I went to UCLA with him, just on the unofficial. I'm in 9th grade. He's about to choose his college. at the
Right.
time. So, it was just those kind of moments, man, where it was, just kind of allowing me to kind of see what was out there and really get a chance to kind of, inhale everything in regards to the atmosphere of just being on the big time level.
Gotcha.
And that gives you confidence, in a sense. That gives you confidence. The thing that really like kind of boosted me a little bit, I was in the ninth grade. It was after my ninth grade season at Dunbar. I was playing with DC S.O.O.N. Demar Johnson had asked my coach at the time, like if, two of your best players would come and work out with us. He had just got drafted, number 6.
Wow.
So he was doing like his after draft workouts, like he getting ready to go to camp and all that kind of stuff. And it's like July, August of, that had to be 2000, after he had already gotten drafted. So me and James White went to LA with DeMar Johnson and Kenya Martin
Wow.
at the time. And we were just working out with Kiki Vandeweghe, who was like the guy who was working all these guys out at the time.
Gotcha.
And that was like special, to see these guys, Kiki Vandeweghe, you hear about him, Denver Nuggets legend, DeMar Johnson, who, we all were looking up to at the time because he was like, number 1 player in the country in high school, went to Cincinnati for 1 year, kind of smooth guy, number 6 pick in the draft, lotto pick. And, we kind of wanted that. So, when you're coming up, you're in high school, you kind of look at those guys as inspiration. And, being able to go out there and work out with those guys, man, that was special for me and James. But of course he was older, but for me, I'm a 9th grader, about to be in the 10th grade. And like I'm working out with these guys. So that was like a moment where, I was like, I'm gonna continue to push it, because I want to be where these guys are.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, man, I want to go in your recruitment. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were one of the only people that I know during your age group and your time that was signed before your 12th grade year. Am I correct on that?
Yes. Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit, the experience and what it meant to be signed early? Because I'm a firm believer in, as you're a coach now, and I'm a firm believer you should go sign early. I know things are a little bit different now, but can you talk about that a
So
little bit?
to be totally honest with you, that wasn't a great thing for me at the time because I had to sign with South Carolina, to be honest, totally honest with you. So, and I'm not going to go into this part because it's a lot. My documentary would kind of shed some light on certain things that happened with my AAU organization, who kind of messed my recruiting up. Really messed my recruiting up, like derailed like me to go to the schools that I wanted to go to. So as a sophomore, I verbally committed to Syracuse.
Wow.
And yeah, that was under like everybody knew that. Everybody in my camp, like my family, AAU team, like everybody just knew that I was going to Syracuse. Like they used to send me a bunch of stuff. Like it was like, that's where I was going to go. This is in the 10th grade. So, things happened and like, man, they just sorted me down, man. And like all the schools kind of backed up off me at the same time. And by the time I was in 11th grade, South Carolina called me during the summer. And, once I started doing my research on them and saw the conference that they were playing against all these big schools, I knew that, a couple of guys, was going to go to like Kentucky, Florida. Even when I went, I heard Rondo was already talking to Kentucky. He was a couple years behind me. So you kind of see, where some of these guys, are going to play in this conference. Right. And that was the case. We go to Arkansas and you got to play against Ronnie Brewer. Then you go to Florida, you got to play against like Al Horford, Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, Torian Green. Go to Kentucky, you got Randolph Morris, Rajon Rondo, Kalina Azubuike, all these guys on the same team, in the same conference. This every night. You know, LSU, you got Big Baby Davis, Brandon Bass. That's each block. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, for me, like I knew that it was going to be a heavy conference. You know, just a star level conference, and I knew that if I went in and did my thing, man, I can become a pro. You know, whether it was NBA, go overseas. You know, I was always shooting for the NBA. So I knew all these guys, man, all these dudes going to the NBA. That's what I used to think. So you got to just go and play your ass off against them and show them that you belong. And I did that.
You did. Speaking of your recruiting, you had, I did a little research on you. UConn, Miami, Georgia Tech, West Virginia was some of the other schools that was very interested in.
And I was going to pick one of the four. And I think I was leaning towards Miami at one time, and I was leaning towards Georgia Tech also. UConn came late in the mix, but then they kind of like fell off on everybody because everybody kind of backed off at the same time, but you know something's wrong. Like somebody's doing something that they're not supposed to do, saying something they're not supposed to say when every school that's recruiting you hard now. I mean, Miami used to come to Northeast and watch me shoot jump shots and take me and people who were training me to dinner. You know what I'm saying? So how you go from that to just, I don't even get a call anymore. So you know something's wrong and somebody's doing something bad, you know, to derail a kid at the time, which I didn't really, like as a coach right now, I just can't understand that part. Like if I have a kid, I don't care if the kid has a support system, has father, has whoever in his corner. Like I don't want anything from a kid. I don't care if he's about to be a #1 pick. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to, like I'm not going to derail a kid and mess up his future. You know, because that's what could have happened.
Yeah,
you know, all these schools could have fell off. South Carolina didn't have to call. You know, God was going to do His thing anyway, and make sure that I was going to be in a blessed situation. But at the same time, you know, a lot of kids, and it didn't always turn out that way. You know, I turned it into a 13-year professional career, a great 4-year career at South Carolina. But that's a rarity, you know, for me to still be able to do that.
Absolutely. Man, this is good stuff, man. We talking some of the things that you're bringing up as we talk, and it kind of had me wondering, because these are the things that I be thinking about with the upcoming student athletes today. I know that you're going to prepare them now for what you went through, so they won't have to go through the same things, because a lot of, oh man, give us 1 second. We're gonna be back. I'm gonna get Tre Kelley back. It's going down. There you go. You back with us? Oh yeah, it faded out a little bit, but it's all good. So what I was saying was, I know what you went through. That being a coach at Dunbar now, you want to prepare your kids and you know, so they won't have to go through some of the things that you went through in the recruiting process and different things of that nature.
Right. Yeah. So the best thing about my experience right now as a coach is that I'm speaking to these kids straight from experience of everything that I've done. That's what I lead with almost every conversation. And I'm telling them this, and I always tell them, look, I'm not telling you this because I want to sound like a coach. I'm not telling you this because I want you guys to admire me for having a great basketball career. Like, that's over with. You know, I still play, I still can play, I still can, you know, do some great things on the basketball court. But I'm telling you guys this because I experienced it. I'm talking about step for step. I'm talking about from down to the hard work, being able to be sharp, getting your jump shot right, getting your ball handling right, to the recruiting process, to going out there and really being able to play in the big games and perform in the big games, to the recruiting when it's time to make decisions and how to make decisions on going to certain schools, like who wants you. Like don't go where it looks shiny at. You know, go to where they want you. You know, go to where they tell you, look, you have a chance to start here. Or you have a chance to play a lot of minutes. You know, I played for Dave Odom in South Carolina, and everything that he came to Northeast. He came to Brentwood, and he came and sat at my grandmother's table. Wow. You know, and everything that he told me that day, I'll never forget, was what happened for 4 years. Wow. Everything that he said, you're gonna fight. You're gonna have to fight for your starting position as a freshman. After that, no matter what happens, you'll never miss another start. Wow. No matter what. And that's what happened. He wanted me to go out there and play, man. He trusted me. We had a conversation, a deep conversation, man, that actually gave me a different perspective on life. And then it gave me a different perspective on basketball. This was after my freshman year was over. And that gave me and him a great relationship, you know, because as a freshman, you know, of course, I mean, he's coaching and, you know, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm trying to figure out how to play well and how to help my teammates win. And we communicated, but it wasn't heavy my freshman year. Absolutely. We had a conversation in the summer going into my sophomore year, and we became best friends, you know, and that helped me go out there and play well. I mean, I'm leading the SEC conference in minutes played. I'm never coming out of the game. Right. For my last 3 years, I'm playing 39 minutes. If we play overtime, man, I'm playing 44 out of 45 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, who doesn't go out there and be comfortable with that, right, knowing that you don't have to look over at the scores table. So when you're getting recruited, who's going to recruit you to do that? You know, who's going to recruit you to, you know, go and you want to play. You don't want to just have a uniform on, act like you're at this big school because they did this. Man, where are you going to play? And that's the most important thing. How are they going to play? Is it your style? You know what I'm saying? Would you fit this group? Who's the guys that are coming in? You know, would you be able to play well with this guy? You know what I'm saying? So just being able to experience everything that I experienced, you know, makes me equipped to be able to give and instill the things that I need to instill for these kids to be successful.
Absolutely. Speaking on which you led as a sophomore, led the team in assists. You also made first team all SEC. Can you speak about that a little bit? Like, how was that for you when you was at South Carolina?
Man, it was you know, my 4 years total, man, was just amazing, man. Just you know, I always think, you know, you always as a player, a perfectionist, you always think you could play better. But as a whole, man, I went and did what I needed to do. You know, that helped me become a pro. You know, that helped me become a professional basketball player. You go to school for 1, 2, 3, 4 years as a basketball player to prepare yourself as a professional. That's what it's for. You know, like you have aspirations to become a professional, you go and do professional things in college. I'm talking about the hard work, you know, running the stairs in the summertime with the weight vest on, you know, coming home and not, you know, not taking that for granted, working out when you come home for a week, going back to school, working out again, you know, going in the gym at 2 a.m. because you have access to the gym, getting extra shots up, you know. So it was something that, you know, was instilled in me before I went there, and it helped me, man, and it prepared me, you know, for what I was facing down the line, you know, just being a pro. And my mindset was always like, how do I be successful here? Like this game, this practice. You know, I never took a possession for granted. Like I never went out there and just went through the motions. You know, I'm not gonna say I had a great game every game, no. You know, but at the same time, my intent, look, how do I play against Rondo tonight? You know what I'm saying? How do I play against LSU? How do I get my floater over top of Brandon Bass? If you know, we play Big Baby, like, you know, I'm gonna call the ball screen for Big Baby because he's a little slow, and I'm gonna get around him and make plays. You know what I'm saying? So it was always I'm trying to make it happen, and this every day, and that's how it is. You can't take Like when people say no days off, like that doesn't always mean you just killing yourself in the gym every day, killing yourself it means mentally, man, you every single day you have to put something in your mind, like even if it's just a thought of how you're going to do something to be successful one day. Like that might be an off day, you just need some rest. Your body's tired, your mind is tired. Okay, I need some rest. Even that rest is a positive thing for you to be successful because you need it. You know, eating and drinking water, being hydrated, all of that. Like, and that's the thing, man, that I did for so long was try to, man, it's steps A to Z. And you can't miss one when you want to be successful. If you miss one, you might have a bad night. If you have a good night, that could be the night that gets you in. You know what I'm saying? That could be the night against Rondo. That could be the night against Florida. You know, that could be at Rep Arena when I had 36.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to get in the bed at night, you know, in the hotel. You know what I'm saying? So it was always a thing for me, man, I wanted it every day. Like it wasn't a day that I didn't. It wasn't nothing more important than, man, I gotta get it done tonight. And that's what these kids have to understand, man.
Right. You talked about it briefly. Coming up, you got a show coming out. What is Unbreakable Desires?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what can we expect from that?
Yeah. So it's literally self-explanatory when it comes to my life. It really reflects my life because we're having.
Hey, give us 1 second. You broke off again. Man, Tre Kelley, man, in the building. I think you went off for a minute.
Yeah, I'm back on. Yeah. So it reflects my life, Unbreakable Desire. So what happens is, as a ball player, you start with a desire you want to be a pro. You want to be like Mike. You want to be like Iverson. You want to play professionally. You know, even if it's, some kids, they want the glamorous side of it, the $100 million or $200 million, take care of your family, get out the ghetto, all that kind of stuff. All of that is inspiration, no matter how you look at it. So you start with that desire to want to be the person who achieves all of that. And along the way, there's so many different things that happen that kind of breaks that desire or attempts to break that desire. Injuries. And, I never had to deal with that but one time. And I played through that injury my senior year in college. But injuries happen to people. Death, tragedy, and things in their lives. Just losing the big games and not playing well one game, not winning the SEC championship for us my junior year, lost by 2 against Florida. Certain things happen, not going to Syracuse, not going to the another school that's a little bigger, playing in the Big East, not going to Miami. It's different things that happen that maybe were meant to break my desire down, but I was so thorough in how I approach life, how I approach the game, that desire for me to achieve and everything that I wanted to achieve and then to be successful was unbreakable. So it's this documentary is basically, a chronicle of my life and how a lot of different things happen along the way. Even the good things, because some people fizzle out after success. Some people, man, they get there and they get the first team all SEC and they don't stop, they stop working hard at it. They don't get drafted. I didn't get drafted. They stopped working. So none of those things broke down my desire. I still had a desire to be great. I was going to play basketball somewhere. Somebody was going to pay me to do this thing. So that was my destiny because I put so much hard work into it. I put so much passion into it. So for me, man, I want so many people to be able to watch this thing but really understand what you're watching. Look at the title and look how the title is a reflection of everything that goes on the film. Like I just said, it's just we all as people go through so many different things. Yeah. People, man, we fail, we make dumb decisions and, we do things, shouldn't do. We succeed. You know, we get to where we want to get to, but that's not the end. You know, it's never the end. Like if we succeed at 29, 25 doing something great, you know, what if we, you know, we live to be 75? You know, like there's still a lot more to do. You know, so that desire, man, to achieve goals and that desire to be successful, man, you know, is always going to be unbreakable for me.
Absolutely, man. This is great stuff, man. Tre Kelley, man, I appreciate it. I got a couple of more questions for you. You visit Ghana, right? How was that? Can you talk about that?
Oh man, that was special. That was special. So when I first went, man, I went with my good friend and business partner, Paxton Baker. Really good friend of mine, man. Older guy. He's like an advisor to me. You know, for just in life and, you know, in business. And, you know, he was going over there for some, you know, some huge business meetings about sports.
Yeah.
And, you know, he asked me one day, you know, man, you should go with me. This would be a, you know, great opportunity for you. So, you know, he's a minority owner of the Washington Nationals. You know, he does a lot of great things entrepreneur-wise. He worked for BET for like 30 years. You know, so he's a very successful man. So, you know, going over there with him, I knew that it would create some opportunities. I didn't know like the basketball thing and, you know, what ended up happening. I didn't know, I mean, that wasn't even in the plans, you know, so I go over there and he's introducing me, you know, to a lot of great people. And one of his really close friends for like 35 years is a king of a tribe there. You know, so we getting special treatment, man. We got a driver to go everywhere. We going to these different places and, you know, everybody we're meeting, you know, he's introducing me to. And, you know, the basketball thing comes about, oh, you know, you play basketball? One guy's like Googling me as we're talking. And he's like, wow, you know, like, man, you've been here and you played here. And I'm looking at these pictures and, oh, man, we go, you know, what if you know, can you do a camp? And I'm like, you know, I'll do a camp, you know, no problem at all. So, man, they put the camp together in like 2 days. They got me in contact with a guy who's become a good friend of mine. He's in Ghana. You know, I'll be going back to Ghana a few times, you know, over my life. You know, I went to, my son is 4 years old. I'm going to take him to Ghana at some point. But, you know, I got a good friend over there, man. And, you know, he set up the basketball camps, man, put together these big posters and flyers and almost like billboard size. And I went to the school and, you know, it's like a basketball camp, man. We just did it. It was one day, probably about 4 hours. Had some fun with the kids, man. You know, I'm trying to really put some financial pieces together to go and fix that school up and to give them a new basketball court. You know, so I know that'll give me, you know, just some great feelings to do something nice like that, you know, for some kids, you know, who they play outside. They don't even play in gyms. You know, so maybe one day build a gym, you know, just, you know, start with the outside courts, just get them nicer pavement, glass backboards, you know, all that kind of stuff that they don't have right now. And then, you know, be able to maybe build a gym in like 5-7 years, you know, just to give them, you know, better resources to get better. Cause you know, they got a couple of good players, you know, Africa, you know, Ghana is a popular place in Africa.
Yeah.
You walk it, you know, you walk there, man. I go to the school with 6'9", 6'10" guys out there. Those easy pipelines to come to the States, you know, work these kids out, make them better as basketball players. You never know what can happen with, you know, their futures, you know, being able to play in the NBA, maybe going to college, you know, anything can happen for these kids.
Absolutely.
So that was a great opportunity, you know, for me. And that's like, you know, that's how God works. And I'm going over there for something that has nothing to do with basketball. And then, you know, something like this comes about and I get an opportunity to teach some kids and to speak to them, you know, about my story. And it's just about, you know, everything that, you know, that I had gone through and the stuff that I've been able to achieve as a basketball player. That was lovely, man. That was something powerful in my mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, man, this is
Man,
great
yeah,
stuff.
It's
I'm
crazy.
like, I didn't even know that, you know, I didn't know you visit over there. I'm quite sure a lot of other people ain't know. So bringing that story into perspective, like it touched me, man.
It was emotional, man. It was like a really eye-opening experience, man, to be in another just another land. Like, I've been all over the world, but I played most of my basketball in Europe, China, South America, but to be, basically where we're from, and to be able to create something special for these kids. They had a great time, and that was just for one day. So I want to go back, create more opportunities. Like I said, if I can help build some courts, man, get some things going, for them to have better resources to play the game, that'd be even more amazing.
Absolutely. Couple of more, man. I wanted to ask you about, you talked about Dave Odom and what he meant to you and Zoe, Coach Roach. If you can go over briefly just a little bit more about them two, but I want to also ask you about Kurt Bone and what he went to you.
I saved Kurt Bone for last.
Okay. So yeah, go through them three.
So we talk about Lorenzo Roach.
Yeah.
Played for him for 2 years. I probably known him about 3 or 4 years before that, when I was like 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
And we just had a great relationship beforehand. And I think that helped us, be better player-coach relationship. And we bumped heads. It was, I think the friendship allowed us, caused us, I should say, to bump heads, at times, because we're friends, and it's like, okay, he's talking to me and he's trying to get me to do something, and I'm trying to do something on my own. He's correcting me, and you bump heads like that sometimes, but it was all out of love. Like, we really love each other to this day. Still got a great relationship. I mean, he was just a passionate guy. He was a young guy at that time. I'm 17, 18, and he's like, I think he's like 28 at the time. So for me, sometimes understand how close that gap is. This is his first year as a coach, first 2 years as a coach. He's so passionate, but he helped me so much. Just be myself, go out there and play the game, be yourself, man, be a leader. And those kind of qualities helped me, when I went to South Carolina. So, having a relationship with a guy like that bleeds what you bleed in regards to being at Dunbar, having passion for the game, being, he used to call it a Viking. Like, I want Vikings. Like, what I'm saying? I want Vikings. And he identified me as a Viking. You know what I'm saying? As a hard-nosed, thorough guy who just wasn't going to back down from anything. And that was just, that added to how special our relationship was. And Dave Odom, he had been around so many great players when I had gotten to South Carolina. He was assistant coach at Virginia with Ralph Sampson, best player in the world at one time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was unbelievable back then. 3-time National Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. Coach Odom was assistant coach with Terry Holland at Virginia at that time. And Coach Tim Duncan at Wake Forest. By the time I left South Carolina, he said to Nate McMillan, who was the coach at Portland at the time, that out of all these guys I've ever coached, Tre Kelley's the best basketball player that I've ever coached. And I couldn't believe he said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, and it said a lot just for my 4 years. It meant a lot, just because I knew that I had put in the hard work, and that didn't, that wasn't that statement wasn't going to make or break me, but it let me know just how much he was paying attention to what I was doing. Of course he's the coach, but a lot of times when you make statements like that, you're paying attention to everything. How am I getting better? What am I doing? How much of a leader I am? How many times I just never back down from the challenge. So my 4 years with him, man, it was amazing because, like I said, by the time I was going into my sophomore year, we just became best friends. When you talk about two guys like that, it was what was supposed to happen. I was supposed to play for these two guys, going into my professional basketball career. Like, the last two guys that you play for, if you're playing professional basketball, what they implement in you is really important. because you're going to professional basketball with things on your mind and in your heart that they taught you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you got other people like, people who train you, people who do this, say this, but your coaches, your high school coach, your college coach, those are probably one of the two most special people that you have in your life, because you're going to get paid for this and you have to use some of the things that you learn from them too. So that was it was a great thing for me to be able to play for those two guys.
Absolutely.
And they had a great relationship, because Coach Roach, he wanted me to be successful. So he would talk to Coach Odom during those times. Even when I was at South Carolina, he was still talking to him. They were still calling. They were inviting him to games. They give him, they'd send him sweatsuits and all that kind of stuff. So it was great, man. It was just, it was why I'm sitting here talking to you about playing 13 years as a professional. Those two guys. Other people too, of course, but those two guys from a basketball standpoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I told you I would save, my man for last.
Yes.
I mean,
how special was he, man? Because
he's probably one of the most special people in the world.
Wow.
Period. I mean, seriously. Kurt Bone, Curtis Chambers, all days, whatever you want to call him, is probably one of the most special people in the entire world. And when you think about a guy who has and he, this dude is like, he's thorough, street dude, been through everything back in the 80s with the drugs and, the Rayful Edmonds and all that kind of stuff, that era, the crack epidemic and being in trouble, having to go to jail. So, you talking about a thorough guy, really hard-nosed guy, but the biggest heart that you could ever imagine. The most giving dude that I've ever seen, and the most wise guy that I've ever seen. Like his wisdom and his wit, just as a person, as a man, it's just extremely special, man. I met him when I was 14.
Right.
I met him when I was 14, right on the side of his store. That used to be on Benton Road.
Yes.
Old friend of mine, Melvin Middleton, used to play for Spingarn back in the day.
Yeah.
He took me over to the store and I met Kurt Bone, and we just hit off immediately. It was something about his energy, what was in his eyes, and then to him, it was something about my energy as a young kid. But, he always talked about my maturity level, like, damn, this kid here, and he first saw me, when he first saw me, I didn't meet him that night. He first saw me playing Woodson. First time he ever saw me. Yeah, heard my name. Everybody was at that game, Woodson, Dunbar, at Dunbar, my 9th grade year.
Yeah.
And that was like my coming out party. That was the one that kind of woke the city up. It woke the city. I probably had about 17 that night, but it was like a loud 17 points against Woodson, man. Just spin moves, get to the cup. Yeah. People like, damn, this 9th grader, man, and he saw that. He was able to see that. And he saw something in me then. So when he met me, he had already had like some preconceived thoughts on his mind about just, who he was dealing with. And we've been friends ever since. He would just read me and my situation, whatever was going on in my life at the time. And I would go to his store sometimes. He would take me home. He would give me a bunch of all days gear. I wore all days every day for like 4 years in high school. You know what I'm saying? I wore all day. I took all days down to South Carolina, wearing all days, wearing socks, wearing sweatsuits, wearing everything. You know what I'm saying? And, they're getting the chance to see that in another state.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known about like marketing and things of that nature. I would have wore to some games, stuff like that. I wasn't, probably didn't have as much business savvy as I should have had. I wish he would have said something about it. I would have, maybe after a game or something, like we just wore a t-shirt, not even knowing what, maybe they see that, put on a different scale. But man, he would take me home sometimes. And this is when I was still in high school. I used to play down Bury Farms with his teams all the time.
Yeah.
He'd take me home, it'd be like 12 o'clock, midnight, right?
Yeah.
And we might sit in his car for like 3 hours just talking. He talking. I done talked to Ray Evans on the phone before. You know what I'm saying? Like just talk with Bone, man. Oh, you know, this Ray, Tre, man. You know, this young dude, man. He's gonna be something, man, in the future. You know, so it's been like those moments. Like, I mean, we probably had 20 of those. Like just taking me home after that game, taking me home after I go down all days for a few hours. And we might just sit, like I said, we sit on Saratoga Avenue on 14th Street for 3 hours. You know, I might have to get in the house, man. You might hear some gunshots. I might have to, man, Bone, go ahead, man. I'm go ahead in the house. You know what I'm saying? So our relationship, man, is you know, is huge. Like, you know, our bond is huge. You know, love him to death. But like I said, if you're just talking about him, forget about our relationship. Forget about anything that he's ever taught me, done for me, just the love he's given me. I can still put that to the side and say, man, that this dude is one of the most special guys in the entire world history. Like, seriously.
The reason why I asked you about Kurt Bone is because I feel like now I don't know if we have a Kurt Bone like to in this day and age.
Right.
You
and
know,
it's different time, man.
That will come and get a kid like that.
Yeah, people, because you got to think, man. You're probably getting to the last generations of the possibilities of a Kurt Bone. Like, I'm talking about, like, you know, my age group, maybe a couple years younger, because we are the people who we went through a lot. You know, like these kids, they're going through a lot of things now, but it's so reckless. It's drug driven. It's like everybody's high. And like the younger guys, it's, you know, it's they are pushable in regards to being able to implement and instill things inside of them that'll help them grow. And I'm doing that with a lot of guys, you know, that I have my hands on now. And I've been mentoring kids. You know, they call me all the time. It's more through a basketball relationship, but I always give them life. You know, I can't just train a kid, work them out in the gym, and let them go home without telling them everything. Right. You know, because those are the things that I learned. Kurt Bone, Peanut, Delonte Taylor, those kind of guys. You know, I mean, I got so much wisdom from Benny Nesbitt. You know, you think about, man, the people that just was like, you know, look like older than me, kind of giving me the game from a basketball standpoint, from a life standpoint. I mean, it's second to none when you just put all of them together in regards to all of the knowledge that I was able to receive. So how can I not go and give that same kind of knowledge? And I've probably experienced more than them, you know, just from traveling around the world and being able to, you know, see a different light than Washington, D.C., being able to go to Italy, being able to go to Turkey, being able to go to Greece and all these places and live there. And, you know, you grow up in Northeast, man, you go anywhere and to be able to adapt. And this is the finer things in life when you think about it, because, you know, you come from Northeast, I'm going to Greece. I got a big old apartment that they're paying for. They got me a car. We get paid every month. Doing what I love. This is amazing. So yeah, I gotta give these guys the formula to how that works. You know, so you deal with the new generation, these kids now, they come up with excuses to miss practice. They come up with excuses to miss a summer league game. And that's just not how it works. This is how this thing is supposed to be done, because there's something at the other end of that tunnel, but there's a lot of work in the midst of that tunnel that you gotta do. There's a formula it's an A to Z formula, and you have to follow steps A, B, C. You can't miss, you know, D, E, and F, and then try to get the G, and then try to go down the line. You got to do it all. You know, you have to do it all every single day, because that's how it works. We're not like I was. If I was 6'9", this would be a totally different conversation like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, so I had to really put in the work no matter what. I had to have the drive. I had to have that unbreakable desire we were talking about before. I had to, you know, have the focus that I had. You know, I had to, man, you know, going through all the things that I went through as a child, going through tragedy and going through all these different things in the neighborhood. The city's so rough at the time.
Yeah.
Everybody's going crazy. You know, I mean, big events happened when I was in high school, 9/11. You had the DC sniper. You had the kids get killed from Wilson coming back from the.
Hey man, it don't get no better than this, man. I'm telling you, man. Tre Kelley, man, DC's own, man, giving these Jews, dropping these Jews.
Yeah.
You got it, bro.
No problem. So yeah, so you got all these different things going on. And, before I go to high school, while I'm in high school, I'm going to 2-3 different funerals every year while I'm in high school. These are my friends. These guys who grew up in my neighborhood that I've known at that time for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? So to have to deal with all of this and try to stay focused, it was a challenge, but my focus was so sharp because I wanted it. That, like I said, that desire being unbreakable the way that it was.
Yeah.
Everything that was happening, it just wasn't going to break me down. I had to go to a funeral. All right, I got to get in the gym after this. I'm going to play ball after this. Like, I took my first all Met picture after my grandfather's funeral. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So my junior year when I made all Met.
Oh my goodness. Hey, don't get no better than this, y'all. Tre Kelley, baby. DC's own. I think you kicked it off, but what you were saying something about your all mat when you after your grandfather's funeral, you took your all mat.
Yeah, so yeah, I lost my grandfather. Right, lost my grandfather. A couple weeks after the season was over, we had to go take our all mat picture, and it was the day of the funeral. So just so many different things happening over the course of my first 18 years, man. That could really drive somebody insane. You know what I'm saying? Lose my mom when I'm 11 years old. And even as an adult, my grandmother raised me. My father was still around. I lost my father when I was 28. I just lost my grandmother in 2019. So, it's when you go through all these different things, man. Like I said, there's still a desire to do many things, and if you're still here to enjoy your life and to be able to just grind it through, because all of those things hurt. I mean, it hurts like hell, but at the same time, you got
man, he getting blocked off, but hey, man, he giving up the Jews, man. S.O.O.N Sports Podcast, Tre Kelley, man. It's going down. My bad. You go on, man. I ain't gonna get in your way. This is good stuff,
it's
man.
all good, man.
It's a good
I
stuff,
appreciate
man.
it, man. Yeah.
But
That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. So the journey right now is different.
Yeah.
I'm on the sideline. I didn't stay too much on the sideline when I was a player. I was always in the game. So, but I'm on the sideline, man, just trying to give these kids the best that I can give them. And I'm looking for really great things ahead for Dunbar and to try to bring that program back.
I got a couple of questions for you before you get up out of here about now. Two of them is you on the sideline now, you coaching. What can the people expect from Tre Kelley as a coach?
Just to really teach the game the right way. I always thought I played the game the right way, made great decisions on the basketball court, didn't turn it over. I was taught by a lot of great people along the way. I learned so many things, as a high schooler, as a collegiate player, as a professional for 13 years, and I'm combining all that different knowledge that I was able to gain, and I'm giving it to these kids. But not just from the basketball standpoint, being able to have so much in my heart, man, that I tell these kids all the time, and they know everything that I've experienced by now. Yeah. We've been in the gym almost every day since I got the job in March. That's what it takes. Like I'm not, played all these different summer league games, but I'm talking to them. Some of the parents you're talking to them too much after the game, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but that's what's needed, because they need to hear about it. Because it's not always about basketball. It's how we move forward. How do we bounce back from a loss? How do we beat this team in the playoffs that we just played and they beat us, by 14, 15 points? We're just going through a lot of different adjustments. And what they have this right here, they can be really special, because Dunbar's had a drop in regards to being prominent. Dunbar was the school when I was coming up.
Yeah.
That was one of the premier schools, the premier high schools everybody wanted to go to. You go inside of Dunbar's, banners hanging up everywhere. It's an amazing place, and that tradition has been lost a little bit. So this group can kind of bring that back. And when you talk about Dunbar, let's say we go on a run at some point, 10 years after that run, you have to talk about this team for getting it ignited again.
Absolutely. Last question. Phased out again. Man, Tre Kelley, man, good interview. We on here getting it. Coach Tre Kelley, Dunbar, stand out. South Carolina, stand out. You with me? Can you hear me? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I can't see you, but I'm here.
Oh yeah, good to go.
I can see that.
What do you say for a student before you was hired? DC has a rule where as though after your 9th grade year, you cannot transfer to another school if you got to sit out or something like that. How do you feel about that? Because prior to you coming along and, different experiences that I've seen over the years, it's been students that have, lost eligibility because a coach got fired or they wanted to transfer to a different high school to play for a different coach. You just get the job at Dunbar. I'm quite sure that it's some students that might want to come and play for you, but they don't have that luxury to transfer and to play for the coach that they want to play for or the school that they want to go to. How do you feel about that?
I mean, you have to have some order and some structure within your league with, just like the school itself should have some structure and some order. But it's very hard for me to understand hindering a kid's opportunity to play whatever sport they want to play. If they transfer, whether it's another school in DC, another school outside of DC, them and their families saw fit for them to get a better opportunity elsewhere. And for them not to be able to play or, just whatever the rules are, like any rule that takes away a kid's opportunity, I just don't think that's a good rule because it's about them at the end of the day. It's about them. I don't see what disadvantage that creates for a kid to just transfer. Let's say a kid wants to transfer from Roosevelt to Wilson or Wilson to Roosevelt, Wilson to Dunbar, Coolidge, whatever. Maybe they wasn't getting the opportunity that they wanted at whatever school they're transferring from. So they go to another school, they talk to the coach, they maybe talk to a couple of their friends that are playing at the new school. So why would you want to take away their opportunity to play right away? Maybe they have 2 years left and they transfer as an 11th grader. You're telling them that they can't play 1 year. That does something to their future. You never know what it's going to do until their future comes about, but that hinders their future in some way because they're going to get less exposure. They won't be able to have the good opportunities for 2 years because that means more opportunity to showcase your talents. And whether I'm a commissioner, coach, or whatever, I would never take that opportunity away from the kid.
Absolutely, man. Well said, man. I was feeling the same way. I just wanted to get a different perspective from, new upcoming coach in the DCIAA, same league you played in. It wasn't like that when we played. Last but not least, anything that we didn't touch on that you want to say to your fans or parents, student athletes, anything?
Oh man, just you know, Dunbar as a school, and Dunbar as a basketball program. You know, my playing days as a professional, you know, I've enjoyed them. You know, I've enjoyed them. They're great memories. You know, you can find a lot of film out there of me, you know, doing whatever I did as a basketball player. But I enjoyed that. And it's now time for me to, you know, to take the challenge on to really lead young men, you know, and hopefully into, you know, prominent futures. And that's important for me. You know, that's important for me. I mean, we touched on pretty much, you know, everything important. And it's just about the journey from here. I'm sure, you know, we'll see each other this season somewhere, another game or something. Maybe talk again, maybe have another podcast. We might be, you know, you never know, we might be holding up the trophy at the end. With, you know, we go back to this conversation and kind of speak on, you know, everything that happened in between. But it's, you know, I'm really embracing this opportunity, and I have every day. You know, I mean, we're in the gym all the time. You know, trying to get these kids ready, trying to do something special. Because that's if you want to do something, man, it's the intent is to do something special. That's just at the end of the day. When you talk about sport, you talk about competing, talk about anything that involves some kind of championship, some kind of victorious person, some kind of victorious team. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to do something special. So, you know, I want to be talked about now, not for popularity reasons, but, you know, at the end of this journey, man, I want people to really acknowledge me as just a great player.
Hey, man. Tre Kelley, man, doing it, man. Hell of a guy, man. Hell of a guy. Yeah, I think he got cut off. Yeah, got cut off.
Yeah, so just basically, yeah, I just want people to, you know, really remember me as a coach, as a guy who just led a lot of young men, man, to happiness at the end of the day. You know, wherever their journeys lead them to, you know, I just want them to be happy. You know, I want them to be happy in a good, clean way. You know, just to really be satisfied with their time with me, satisfied with everything that I'm teaching, and I hope that leads them to some great things in the future. I want all my kids to graduate. I want all my kids to go to college. I want all my kids, you know, if they have the opportunity to play professionally, I really would love that for them. Not because I want to say, you know, I helped them do that or I coached them. I just want it for them because I was able to experience that and be happy about, you know, what I was able to do as a basketball player. I really want that for them.
Absolutely. How can parents or student athletes get in contact with you if they for anything? Basically, wanted to get some information for the parents, get some information for student athletes. Basically, how can student athletes, parents get in contact with you if they want to, you know, train or get their kid up to you or?
So they can contact me. They can email me at trekelley1@gmail.com. That's TREKELLEYONE@gmail.com. What's it? Facebook, Tre Kelley, TREKELLEY. Instagram, TREKEL1EY. So that's Tre Kelley, but the second L in my last name is a 1 because I wore number 1 most of my career, and I wore number 1 at South Carolina. So TREKEL1EY is my Twitter and my Instagram. So I always get messages, you know, on those about training kids and kids who may want to come to Dunbar now. So I'm open all the time, you know, if they want to, you know, contact me about anything.
Absolutely. Before you get out of here too, are you in the summer league? And if so, how can people come and see the games or different things like that?
So we've been all over the place, man, actually in the last month or so. We're about to finish up the summer league at the Falconers Summer League at Wise High School.
Okay.
We done played about almost 10 games out there in the playoffs. We just won our first playoff game last night.
Okay.
The semifinals is Saturday at 12, and the championship game, I think, is at 4 o'clock at Wise High School.
Okay.
We're playing in the DMV Summer League at number 14 Boys and Girls Club. I think our next game is next Wednesday at 6:30. So after the Summer League at Wise, we'll be at number 14 Boys and Girls Club either Monday or Wednesdays until that league is over. And then we might be in a couple of more team camps. We played in the University of Maryland team camp recently. And, that was a great experience for our guys. So December, of course, is when the season starts. And I can't wait to get that kicked off and just, try to take the DC.
Hey, man, y'all heard it, man. Y'all heard it. When he come back on, I'm gonna let my man get up out of here. Tre Kelley, man, head coach of Dunbar Senior High School. Back on, brother. Hello? I don't know if he can hear me, man.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, there you go. I'm just trying to wrap you up, giving the people your schedule and different things like that. We got to do this again, though.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime, just I'll shoot you my number, and we just go from there, man. Anytime, we can talk about different topics, and the NBA, all the types of stuff that's going on in the NBA.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's during the season, college basketball, high school basketball, man, we can talk about it all.
Let's do it, man. Man, I want to thank you for coming on this platform, man. Sharing your expertise with us today. Definitely just want to thank you for coming on, sharing your time with us. One thing you can't get back is time, man. So I definitely want to thank you for coming on this platform and sharing your time, sharing your wisdom, your expertise with the world and with me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. We'll definitely talk again.
Yeah, thank you, man. Shoot me your number, man.
My man, I
and we're
appreciate
gonna go from there.
Okay, my man.
All right, man. Tre Kelley, y'all, man. The one and only point guard from out of Dunbar, South Carolina. Had a great career overseas, in and out the pros. You heard it from, one of the greats, man. So stay tuned, man. S.O.O.N Sports Podcast. If you're trying to get on this podcast, hit me up at CoachJ224@gmail.com. That's Coach, the letter J, 224@gmail.com. And let me know what you're trying to do. You want to interview, we're going to get you on, and we're going to go from there. Until next week, y'all, we out.